This is a pre-built version of the application. So we'll have here data stored in .csv files, and suppose we want to be able to run SQL statements against that data. So we'll be running this Python file, which prompts the user to select one of the available .csv files directories, so either this directory or this directory or any other directory that we add here. Or if we want, we can remove directories from here if we no longer need them. And we use the data obtained from each .csv file in order to create and populate the associated table in the database. So let's go for this employee directory. Let's go ahead and run. And we pick the employees, and it has two .csv files, either department or employee, and each one of those .csv files we end up creating a table that represents it, or represents the data that's in each one of those files. Next, to run select statements against the created database, let's go ahead and run this Python file. And let's check what tables we have in that database. So we have those two tables, and if we do select on department, we have those tuples that are coming from this .csv file. So department ID and department name, and those. And if we do a select on employee, we end up with those tuples. And if we join those two tables on department ID, we end up with this result. We'll start by copying this project directory, and we'll rename it. We'll add this directory containing .csv files. So we can add or remove folders here that contains .csv files. And let's go ahead and delete the database here. And delete one of those two that does the creation and population of the database. and we'll rename this one. So here we will prompt the user to select one of the available .csv files directories, and we'll use the data obtained from each file in order to create and populate an associated table in the database. So here we do the prompting for the user to select one of the available .csv files directories. In this case, either employees or faculties. And here we pick up the data from a .csv file, and we return the keys and the tuples in the .csv file as a list, each one. And here we pass the CSV file name and the list of keys and the list of values that we picked up here. And we create and populate an associated table in the database. And we start by picking up a connection, and this would be the database name, and we pick up a cursor. So here we're using the cursor in order to we pass it the create statement that we put together here, and this is the insert statement that we pass it here, and those are the tuples that we picked up here from the .csv file. So we pick up the cursor and we use it to do an execute for the create statement, and then populate the table that we just created here. So let's suppose we're going through this directory. We have 2 files here. So for each one of those, we call handle.csv file, and then go ahead and create an associated table. So we end up by committing and closing the cursor and closing the connection. Finally, let's go ahead and test run the application. So we'll start by creating the database. And let's go for the faculties directory. So it contains those two .csv files, and the table department was created using data from this CSV file, and faculty was created using data from this CSV file. And let's go ahead and run the application. And we have those two tables that we just created in the database. And we'll do a select on department. So we have this table coming from this .csv file. And if we do a select on faculty, we end up with this data that's coming from this .csv file. And we do this join. So we end up with those tuples coming from those two tables.